and Rob Pelinka, Jeannie Buss are determined to bring him to LA.
Just leaned over and I said, hey, I think you could win a lot of championships with the Lakers.
I am in absolute shock that I'm making this video, and to be honest, I'm very thankful I'm making this video as a Los Angeles Laker fan, because if you guys watched my last video, you'd notice that I just gave up on this team. It's nothing against JJ Redick, it was just the methodology in how the Lakers were planning to hire their next head coach. But like I said in the last video, nothing is set in stone yet, although it is looking like it's trending in this particular direction. So I'm going to take you through everything that's happened over the past 24 hours, because it's been absolutely insane, especially if you're a Laker fan. Before we get to the content, we're on this grind to 1 million subscribers. We are 73,000 subscribers away before we hit the 1 million mark. So make sure you subscribe and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow, and also suggest what we should do for 1 million subscribers. Now that we got all that out of the way, do the intro. This is practically free money. To celebrate game 1 of the NBA Finals, PrizePicks is giving us a free square. All Jason Tatum needs is 1 point in the first game of the NBA Finals. To give you the best advantage, I highly recommend you enter these picks ASAP, because the closer you get to the game, the more likely the lines are going to get slimmer and slimmer. First, download PrizePicks and use my promo code FlightMike to get up to $100 of your deposit matched, and then enter this pick for game 1. Obviously, we're going to go with Jason Tatum. He's clearly going to get a point, but Derek Lively has always been able to get over 16.5 points, rebounds, and assists when he's been fully healthy. We're going to pick more on this. And then if you want to get really spicy, Derek White should easily be able to get 23.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He's done that for the last 5 games. I'm going to put $25 to win $125. And I give away additional picks on my Instagram story at TheFlightMike, but make sure you're followed there as well. And thank you, PrizePicks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Up until this point, it was a foregone conclusion that the Los Angeles Lakers were hiring JJ Redick. And it wasn't just one insider telling us this. It was all of the major insiders telling us this. I mean, Chris B. Haynes said straight up that it was JJ Redick's job to lose, and that he was practically assembling his coaching staff.
Are the Lakers waiting to announce their head coach until the finals are over, because that coach might be working the final?
Yeah, I would be very surprised if their next head coach is anybody but JJ Redick. Everything that I'm hearing is JJ Redick, and from what I know, he's doing some background, calling some candidates, some assistant coaching candidates who might be able to join his staff or might not be able to join his staff. And so, yeah, I'm pretty positive it'll be JJ.
And even Brian Windhorst, who historically has always been on target when it's come to all things LeBron James, said that the Lakers already made their decision, but they're doing their best to conceal that JJ Redick was going to be the hire.
Attempt. Maybe I'm giving away my feelings by saying attempt. There's a very strong message coming out that the Lakers are still early in their process, that there's still steps to be done, and that they're being very thorough, and there's nothing to see here, and don't worry about that.
Probably gonna have to wait till after the finals.
Probably. And then there is information out there otherwise involving JJ Redick. I will just sit here and I will tell you that my information on this is scattered. I have some people saying this is JJ Redick's job that I trust, and I have some people saying that this is a process that is not complete. I suspect I know something, but I am just going to tell you that there's multiple streams of information.
And all along, I told you guys in that video that if the Los Angeles Lakers are planning to hire JJ Redick, which is LeBron James's podcast partner, as their head coach, then I guess you could expect LeBron James to stay. If they decide to hire a different coach like James Borrego, chances are they're trying to hire a coach with Anthony Davis in mind. Now, the Los Angeles Lakers have stated that Anthony Davis will have a significant say in who the next head coach is. And the interesting part about the head coach hiring process is, according to Mark Stein, Anthony Davis has his eyes elsewhere for his next head coach, saying it has been suggested in some corners of the league that Lakers star big man Anthony Davis probably prefers for James Borrego to get the job over Redick. Now, this information came out after Shams Charania tweeted out that JJ Redick was the front runner for the Los Angeles Lakers head coaching job. Now, in that report, he said no final decision has been made yet, and the Lakers still have steps remaining in their head coaching search process. But the indications are strong that Redick is their leading choice at this stage. Nine has mentioned that not only has Borrego been a head coach twice already in Orlando and in Charlotte compared to JJ Redick's lack of head coaching experience, but he and Anthony Davis overlapped briefly during Borrego's first stint with the Pelicans after Davis was drafted #1 overall in 2012. So when you pair all of this with the fact that coach Mike Krzyzewski was very heavily involved in the Los Angeles Lakers coaching search, I was starting to feel like the Lakers were going to pick JJ Redick. And I wanted to start by saying I have nothing against JJ Redick at all whatsoever. I think he was a phenomenal college basketball talent, one of the best college basketball players of all time. I think he was one of the greatest shooters of his era, and I think he has a tremendous basketball IQ. I think him as an analyst has been a breath of fresh air, and I really enjoy consuming his content. I mean, I know we always meme the fact that he is LeBron James's podcast partner, but you have to be one hell of a basketball mind in order for LeBron James to decide to create a podcast with you. LeBron James doesn't have a lot of content like Mind the Game, so the fact that he chose JJ Redick of all people to create a podcast of that sort speaks volumes in regards to JJ Redick's basketball knowledge. Just because you're an incredible basketball analyst and you give great takes and you're really good at simplifying the X's and O's of the game for fans doesn't necessarily mean you are going to crush it in year one as a head coach in probably the most difficult job in the NBA. I said this when Frank Vogel was fired. The Los Angeles Lakers head coaching job is a nightmare for a rookie head coach, especially back then when Darvin Ham was about to get hired and they still had Russell Westbrook's contract to deal with. But especially right now, you're in an incredibly competitive Western Conference featuring the likes of the OKC Thunder, who weren't supposed to be this good this quickly, but they were the top seed. The Denver Nuggets, who swept the Los Angeles Lakers. The Minnesota Timberwolves, who seem to be improving. The Dallas Mavericks, who are in the NBA Finals. The Houston Rockets, who were surging towards the end of this past season. They're looking to trade the #3 pick for Mikal Bridges, so they're bound to get better. And this is before we mention the Memphis Grizzlies, who were injured throughout this season and have a much worse record than they should have. And the San Antonio Spurs, who have Victor Wembanyama. With all of these factors in play, even as a die-hard Laker fan, I said that no matter what the Lakers do, it seems like they're destined for a first-round exit. And bringing in JJ Redick, an individual that has no professional coaching experience, to coach LeBron James and Anthony Davis didn't really seem like much of an upgrade to me, although it would have made for a cute story. But you can imagine our shock when we woke up and we found out that this was all just a gigantic smokescreen. The Lakers weren't decided on JJ Redick after all. So on Thursday morning, before game 1 of the NBA Finals, Adrian Wojnarowski dropped a bombshell of a report. Now, I wanted to give you guys a disclaimer. This bombshell of a report is in the same verbiage as Shams Charanya's report a few days ago. According to Adrian Wojnarowski, breaking, the Los Angeles Lakers are targeting Connecticut's Dan Hurley to become the franchise's next coach and are preparing a massive long-term contract offer to bring the back-to-back national champion to the NBA. Sources tell ESPN. ESPN sources the Lakers have had preliminary contact with Hurley, and the sides are planning to escalate discussions in coming days. Hurley's been at the forefront of the Lakers' search from the beginning of the process, even while the organization has done its due diligence, interviewing other candidates. Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss are eager to formally discuss their vision with Hurley of marrying his dominant program, built upon both his tactical acumen and elite player development, to the storied Lakers brand, sources tell ESPN. So this is a shocker because Dan Hurley wasn't brought up at all whatsoever. Originally, we thought it was either James Borrego or JJ Redick. The reason is because the Lakers didn't want other people to know. So I know what you guys might be thinking.
Mike, Dan Hurley won back-to-back national championships at UConn.
Typically, when a head coach is in a situation like that, where he is consistently in a position to win national championships at a collegiate level, you don't see them leave, whether it's Nick Saban with Alabama or Gino Auriemma with UConn, which we're going to get to in a second. So why would Dan Hurley leave a situation where he could secure a huge payday for the next couple of years where he's comfortable winning championships? Well, about a week ago, the NCAA and Power 5 agreed to a deal that completely altered the landscape of the NCAA. Yes, you can now straight up pay NCAA players. So in this article, it says that the 5 autonomy conferences and the NCAA agreeing to settlement terms is an important step in the continuing reform of college sports that will provide benefits to student athletes and provide clarity in college athletics across all divisions for years to come. This settlement is also a roadmap for college sports leaders in Congress to ensure this uniquely American institution can continue to provide unmatched opportunity for millions of students. All of Division I made today's progress possible, and we all have work to do to implement the terms of the agreement as the legal process continues. We look forward to working with our various student-athlete leadership groups to write the next chapter of college sports. Look, man, I'm a huge fan of people getting paid. I mean, if I had to choose between the NCAA getting all the money and that money also being distributed between the individuals that's making the NCAA all that money, obviously, I would want the individuals that are contributing to the NCAA to get paid, especially when you see so many stories of players succeeding in the NCAA, not so much in the NBA. I'm glad that there's a lower threshold to getting paid, and obviously if you make it to the NBA, you'd make significantly more money. I don't want to get too off topic. This could be a video in of itself, but the significance of this is the rules are changing, and as a result, this is the perfect opportunity for Dan Hurley to make the jump to the NBA. It's crazy because in our last video, we brought up how the Los Angeles Lakers wanted Coach K to coach Kobe Bryant and the Los Angeles Lakers once Shaq left in 2004. Obviously, what ended up happening is they hired Rudy Tomjanovich. He got sick. He wasn't able to make it through the full season. As a result of the changing landscape, Coach K would have possibly coached the Lakers if the situation was the way it is now.
20 years ago is the 20th anniversary of the Lakers' pursuit of Mike Krzyzewski. They offered him $8 million a year in 2004.
Unheard of.
That's like a solid, that puts you above average in the NBA right now. Massive offer to Mike Krzyzewski. He turned it down. If Mike Krzyzewski was in the same position at the same age, the way college basketball has changed, he almost assuredly would probably be the Lakers coach. That's what Dan Hurley is facing now. A very different world than what Mike Krzyzewski. He could continue to dominate in college, and he did. He had won 3 national titles at that point. Can you continue to dominate at UConn? Is it sustainable? It might be. Dan Hurley's, his will, his stature in the profession, but there are going to be football schools with the ability, with revenue sharing and NIL, that are going to be able to offer players more money than you can.
So for those of you guys that don't watch college basketball, is this an improvement over JJ Redick? 100%. This is the difference between the Los Angeles Lakers hiring an analyst that has tremendous playing experience in the NBA versus hiring their version of Brad Stevens. We've discussed it in the past. The Lakers are looking for their version of Eric Spoelstra. This is more like hiring their version of Brad Stevens, because Dan Hurley brings something to the table. Ironically, JJ Redick conducted an interview with Dan Hurley and discussed his offense. And as an individual that has 2 YouTube channels that brings you news on the NBA and the NFL, what he says here made me go insane. Check it out.
I think the inspiration the last 2 years, especially this year, is like watching college football now, or Shanahan from the NFL. It's actions that's just layered on top of each other, and we just try to disguise it with the formations.
Now, ironically, Gino Auriemma says that he talked to Hurley, and this was something that he saw happening.
And I have no idea what's going on. You know, I have no idea where this is going and what's happening. But I said, just leaned over and I said, hey, I think you can win a lot of championships with the Lakers, you know, more so than a guy who's never coached. And he just looked at me and, you know, nodded, and we had a good laugh. And then this morning I wake up and voila. So I don't know what's going on. And it'd be a bad day for UConn for sure if this happens. And it would be a great day for Dan Hurley, and I'm sure a bittersweet day for Dan Hurley.
Now, you're being serious that you did bring this up to him last night about the Lakers, John?
Out of nowhere, I just leaned over and I said, you know, I don't know why it came to me. I don't know why, but I said it. And if you ask him, he'll tell you. And I had no idea. And I woke up this morning and somebody sent it to me and I went, you got to be kidding me.
And Adrian Wojnarowski details the extent that the Lakers pursued Dan Hurley.
Been the Lakers' target from the very beginning of this search. They have talked to other candidates. They have done their due diligence because they aren't sure they can get Dan Hurley, but he has been their target. He continues to be their target. And now talks have some traction. Dan Hurley, they've had some preliminary contact with Hurley. They have talked, and they are going to talk more and they're going to do so imminently.
So from the beginning, the Lakers were targeting Dan Hurley, and I'm personally a huge fan of it. He brings something to the table offensively. The fact that there could potentially be an evolution to NBA offenses as a result of hiring Hurley is why I'd be such a huge fan of the Lakers targeting Hurley over JJ Redick. Again, nothing against JJ Redick, but Dan Hurley is a proven basketball mind at this point, and I have a feeling that his coaching could translate. The logistics work. The Lakers would only have to pay a $1.875 million buyout for Dan Hurley, and the Lakers have done a great job during this process because they've been relentless in trying to get Dan Hurley.
Literally at this point, the most sought-after coach in all of basketball. And Rob Pelinka, Jeannie Buss are determined to bring him to LA. They are preparing, I am told, a long-term, massive contract to get him to come.
I think this would be incredible. I mean, you're going from Darvin Ham holding up a clipboard saying contest without fouling, and Anthony Davis pretty much giving up on him, to this type of energy in a huddle.
Fill in my huddle. Got great response. Right? Great response to that adversity.
Now, nothing is set in stone and nothing is confirmed yet, but it seems like the Lakers definitely had a smokescreen for us today. LeBron James tweeted out in April that he is a huge fan of Dan Hurley and he loves his offensive mind, but even furthermore, Dan Hurley checks off all of the boxes. And this isn't a coach just for LeBron James, this is a coach that LeBron James respects, but a head coach that could create an offense around Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves, and Rui Hachimura, which was probably our biggest problem in the playoffs. The fact that LeBron James and Anthony Davis were doing too much, and the rest of the Los Angeles Lakers role players weren't necessarily as involved as they should be. If you take a look at the best teams in the NBA this year, the Minnesota Timberwolves, of course, have Anthony Edwards taking over games, and Karl Anthony Towns, sometimes when he's not disappearing, will also assist Anthony Edwards. But there's so many different ways that the Timberwolves could hit you. There's Naz Reid, there's Jaden McDaniels, there's Mike Conley. There's multiple dimensions to that offense. The same could be said about the Denver Nuggets. You have Nikola Jokic, you have Jamal Murray, you have Aaron Gordon, and then you have Michael Porter Jr. who could catch fire. For the Los Angeles Lakers, during the last two playoff runs, it seems like for the most part, it was just LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and if D'Angelo Russell felt like showing up, he would definitely leave his imprint on the game. Dan Hurley brings in an offense that has multiple dimensions that will finally utilize Anthony Davis to the extent that he should be. And as a Laker fan who was feeling very pessimistic before about the future of this franchise, if the Lakers are able to hire him, I'd feel way more optimistic about the Lakers prospects moving forward. Because like I said in our last video, going out and trading for Trae Young or trading for Donovan Mitchell, which is the Lakers' dream scenario, isn't going to be enough to make it to the NBA Finals, especially through the competitive West. The Lakers need an offensive mind on the sideline that knows how to utilize this team to its fullest potential. And as pessimistic as I was in our last video, I'm optimistic that if the Lakers do hire Dan Hurley, he would be that basketball mind. So let me know in the comment section down below. I know this was a very long video, and I'm hoping we could get this to you guys before the NBA Finals, but if we don't, it's because there was so much information that we had to get to you. Let me know in the comment section down below, especially if you're a Laker fan. How do you feel about this news? Do you feel a little bit more optimistic like I do, or do you feel more or less the same because of how competitive the West is? I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.